Do you remember when, in Sonic Adventure, Knuckles becomes an egg? Do you remember how, in Sonic Adventure 2, he hatches back out, with a massive power increase and a tasteful lime green rebrand? No, you don't, because these events only happened in the Penders era of the Archie Sonic comics, and the lime green rebrand was the exact opposite of tasteful. Putrid would be a more accurate term. Well, Cub really wants us to remember, because he's created a Chaos Knuckles mod which has just as many bizarre design choices as the comic version. Strap in. Before we dive into what makes Chaos Knuckles stand out, we must first look at how Knuckles works in the vanilla version of SRB2. Out of every character, Knuckles is definitely the most stop-start to run as, with both his glide and climb succinctly cancelling all momentum you may have. For a strong bulky character like Knuckles, it works okay, even if it doesn't play to the strengths of SRB2's momentum system, but it does mean that it's hard to build up momentum with a character. So why, pray tell, would you ever decide to get Knuckles, change nothing about how he glides or climbs, and decide that he is the perfect character to give a dash mode to? It's an inane design choice, because it stops both Knuckles and the dash mode from reaching their full potential. Knuckles now moves at the nigh uncontrollable speeds of Sonic and Metal Sonic, making him harder to control, but abilities actively hinder your ability to reach the actually useful seg into dash mode. I can't see any reason why this was necessary to add to the character. It's a pretty clear case of the trap many mods fall into, where they add dash mode to a character that is either hindered or unaffected by it. His other two abilities aren't much better. He has named Spam Dash, which functions as a slightly better version of the Spin Drift. It still gets you up to full speed, but now the trail is used as a reticle to aim the ability. That sounds alright, but the trail still doesn't really go in a perfectly straight line, making it mostly useless. Considering SRB2 is built off the Doom engine, I'm sure there's probably an actual reticle you can use, but as it stands, this ability is currently just an overpowered spin dash. Pressed in Custom 3 as Chaos Knuckles will cause you to consume 10 rings for an instant Armageddon shield. Now, this ability is either fairly useless or completely overpowered, depending on what game mode you're playing. In standard gameplay, the Armageddon shield is never really required, or particularly useful. While you do instantly wipe out every enemy near you, enemies aren't much of a problem in this game, with the exception of the odd one or two. Looking at you, Terabytes. His description does mention he was originally a Knuckles reimagining of Super Mystic Sonic, but all of the abilities that feel powerful yet effortless there, feel so forced here. At least his sprites are faithful to the original Chaos Knuckles design. They're incredibly lazy. Get Knuckles, take all of his colours, and make them various shades of green. That was it. It looks lazy there, it's just as lazy here. I really have nothing to say here, other than the fact his death sprite is now just a disappointed Knuckles pose. I wouldn't look so flippant, I'm hardly the only disappointment here. There isn't much to Chaos Knuckles. He suffers from the same problems that characters like SSN Tails and Ugly Knux do. The characters they're designed off are just bad in the first place, and by making them as accurate as possible, you've automatically guaranteed yourself a low score. I think this is more egregious than those two though. While Chaos Knuckles is hardly a well-loved character, he has plenty of abilities that could make a more interesting moveset. Hell, I skimmed through his Sonic News Network's page for about 30 seconds, and the Energy Blast and teleportation abilities he has there are already a more interesting idea for a moveset than a Spam Dash and Dash mode. There is hope in that Curb will be updating the character, but as it stands, I don't think Chaos Knuckles deserves anything more than a 2 out of 10. Enjoy the rest of this footage, and ciao.
No.